So, good morning, active traders, and welcome to our live Trading Week Ahead broadcast for today, Saturday, June the 24th, or 25th, I should say, 2022. How about those Bitcoin plays? And how about the market rally we've seen lately? Lots of volatility and lots to work with. Hey, thanks, Bill. Hey, thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Hey, Damon. Hey, thanks, Polly. Thanks for all the comments. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun to play. It's one thing that keeps me in good spirits is playing. All the trouble in the world, it's good to have something, and like you folks, right? It's good having a community here and a team of us active traders working together, try and beat the markets in a sensible, logical, professional way that actually kind of sort of makes sense now and then. So how many of you think how many of you agree with me that we may be due for a bounce in our, get this chair, bounce in Bitcoin coming up? We may be seeing a bounce in our Bitcoin. Now, I don't trade Bitcoin, but I do trade things like Marathon and Blockchain Riot and Coinbase and so forth. So today's feature presentation is going to be a quick look at Bitcoin plays. That's our focus because that's, I think, where the money's at coming up. So we may get a good play there. Let's start off by taking a look at the broad market. The S&P has been in a downtrend, and to put it in perspective, you can see we've seen a bounce here lately, but it's still not a huge run. Despite all the talking heads on TV, the market's still in a downtrend. This is a bear market rally, definitely, right? What level is resistance, say R1 on this chart? What would be a technical break of the downtrend? Put your thinking caps on. What would be a break of the downtrend in the S&P? It would have to get above the most previous swing high, which would be right around 4,200, right? So that's a lot of handles up from where we're currently at 3,900. So that's 300 handles up. So market's still likely to go down. So don't get sucked into, hey, the market's finally bottomed and it's going to rally up. It's still in a very downtrend. It's a bear market downtrend. The stock market is going down. It has not broken the trend yet. Though it's trying, every single time it's tried before, it's got beaten back down again. So we're still in a bear market. So that's important. And if you notice, please, on the VIX, and see our SIBO volatility index here is still well over the 24 area, which is what I'm using as S1 right here. So the VIX is still elevated unless it gets under and stays under 24. That's a critical point to remember, right? You don't just use the index or the talking heads latest broadcast or anything like that. You use a combination of signals. And the signal strength in the market is saying we're still in very much a bear market with the VIX way up here over 25. So we're still bearishly inclined. Yeah, probably saying S&P will hit 3,500 before 4,200. I completely agree. Yeah, we're still in a downtrending market. So still have your bear caps on and still be bearishly inclined despite the latest rally. Don't get all excited just because some talking head saying buy, 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 and all that. No, that would be wrong. What you want to pay attention to is the major trend and what the major big money players are doing. And they're still selling the market. And the VIX is still very elevated up here, 27. So unless we get under 24 and down under 20, S1 would be 24, S2 would be 20. Every professional trader knows that. R1 is up near 37. So we're still in a bearish indication, and the market may well sell off. Maybe we get a bull trap on Monday, and then the market sells off hard Tuesday, Wednesday, something like that. So one thing to be aware of, okay, is that we do have a bearish bias in the market, and we want to keep that bearish bias alive and healthy. Now, one thing I'm looking at and what I've been trading myself lately is looking for plays in our Bitcoin stocks. How many of you agree with me? Now, I'm long this. I bought just a little bit. I start off really small in case it goes against me, but I want to martingale in or scale into stocks like Riot and Marathon, especially RIOT and MARA, and also BTBT and Coin and MSTR and others. How many of you would agree with me that blockchain or Bitcoin may be due for a bounce sometime soon? I think we may well be due for a pivot at some point in the near future. And the reason I say that is the selling has stopped. If you look at the chart pattern, whenever you have a big epic when it comes to bottom fishing, I've made every mistake in the book. And I've also had some very successful wins as well. And what I've learned over all these 20 years of doing tens of millions of dollars worth of order flow in pivots as well as breakouts is it's best if you have things like candlestick confirmation, which we don't have down there. I don't see a hammer or a bullish engulfing. But in lieu of that, or as a alternate to that, if you have an uptrend off the lows like we have here, that may, especially when accompanied by a large volume, that may well be good for pivot to the upside. So you can see RIOT, it had been up at 20. And again, it doesn't matter where it came from. What matters is the right side of the chart, where it's going to. But this may well be good for I don't know that it'll get up over 10 much, but I don't know about y'all, but if I can double my money from 5 to 10, I'll be a happy camper. So I'm going to be scaling into Riot and Marathon and other Bitcoin-related plays. A question from Bill: will the Russell rebalancing boost market next week? It'll lead to increased volatility. You'll have more high-frequency trading algo-driven volume in the Russell. So the small caps are going to be more volatile with the rebalancing. So be aware of that. That means we may have more gaps. So there may be more minor. So the trading opportunity is in the small caps. We may see more small gap continuations due to rebalancing inspired or encouraged volatility. So good point. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Phil. Hey, thanks, folks. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks, Warren. So anyway, this is a good chart to look at. Again, when it comes to bottom fishing, the other thing I look at is the ratio of green to red candles in the last week. And you can see, let's say, out of the last last 2 weeks, out of the last 9 candles, we've got all but 2 of them are green. So that's a lot of green days. So that's 2 visual indications I want you to look at. Now, I do this for a living. That's what I've been doing for 20 odd years. You want to, after a big epic drop, you don't want to catch a falling knife. You want to see some bullish trend, little micro trend to the upside. That's one, and we do have that. And you want to see more green than red candles, especially on large volume, which we are starting to see here, right? Large green volume in the lower right of that corner. So that's lower right corner of that chart. So that's a potential bullish upside. That's RIOT. The other one that looks almost identical is Marathon. See, very almost identical chart. So you can play whichever one you want. The other ones to look at are Coinbase. It's a little pricey. I was day trading all of these successfully yesterday. How many of you were trading the open range breakout and Marathon and Riot? My live room members are thrilled because we knocked it out of the park. Boom. We had a really smart live room member too. Afshin had mentioned Disney, and I made money with Disney. It did a nice breakout yesterday. But anyway, the Bitcoin plays Coinbase. This is a good example of one. It had been 200 a share a couple of months ago. Now it's half that. Might be a little overcooked, right? It might be overdone. It may be good for a bullish recovery. We do have a bullish engulfing down here, right? That's called a BE, or bullish engulfing. Learn candlesticks from my colleague Steve Nissen at candlecharts.com. Anyway, it looks like it may be good for a pivot to the upside. Now, one that was disappointing to me yesterday that I think I took a small stop in was BITO. I'm also waiting for this thing to bounce as well. It's the ProShares long bias ETF. They just launched the BITI, the inverse, probably a year late, but better late than never anyway. But BITO, I think, is a good play for a pivot to the upside. But from a relative strength standpoint, it wasn't nearly as good as all the other Bitcoin-related stocks that I traded. So I'm a little on the fence now about BITO because it did not perform well yesterday. If you look on the other hand, for example, at Marathon, look at the breakout in that. This is what you're looking now is a 2-day chart, and we nailed it here. I got us in. I forgot the trigger, something like 7.3 or so. Anyway, it was 7.32. That's where I bought. I remember 7.32. Anyway, and I sold up near the 7.64 or something, right near that peak up here. Anyway, these kind of 2-day high breakouts tell us we've got buyers in the house. So again, on the long-term chart, this is one that had been clobbered and went way, way down. When you see these kind of 2-day highs, and especially the signal to look for is if it closes at a 2-day high, which it did. That's why I bought some yesterday after the bell. This one and RIOT, because it closed on a 2-day basis. If it closes the day up at a high above the previous day's high, that's a long play for a swing trader. Just a reminder, it's important to manage your order flow such that you put on your You initiate new swing trades not in the morning, but in the afternoon, like any professional trader. Day trading, we trade the open. Swing trading, you can put on an initial trade in the morning and see if it works out. But ultimately, the decision as to whether or not to buy, sell, or hold shares for an overnight hold must be done, like any pro will tell you, at 4 o'clock or in the aftermarket, right? So the end of the day is where to make the decision as to whether or not to purchase or sell shares in an open swing trade. This is a buy signal, right? This is a 2-day high, so it's a long buy signal. You can see similar chart pattern. Here's a cheapy BTBT. For those of you like cheap Bitcoin stocks, there's BTBT, Bravo Tango, Bravo Tango. And on the flip side, for the pricier stocks, Coinbase looks really good, right? Going from 52 to 62, a $10 run in just 24 hours. Well, 30 hours. Anyway, day over day, Monday or Thursday and Friday, big run up in Coinbase. So my message to you is now is a good time to be focused on some of the Bitcoin long related stocks and ETFs like Coinbase, blockchain, Marathon, and others that we've got in the live room. And one thing that I wanted to mention is we're expanding coverage of these in my live trading room every day. I even have a separate quote box here that you can see in green. I expanded it for today's broadcast, but we are looking at spending more time on these type of plays because they did really good for us yesterday, right? I made money trading these, and they've got good breakout potential. So we do cover those for both day and swing trading in my live trading room at trademastery.com/live. Now, an example of a more expensive chart that I really liked yesterday that I traded profitably was thanks to Trader Afshin who had mentioned Disney. He had asked about Disney, and I've been saying badly. I sang, "When you wish upon a star, ba da 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 da." Singing I can't do. Playing tenor sax I can do, arguably, but singing not so much. Anyway, Disney was a rock star. I bought it over 96 and it ran all the way up to 98.5. So this is a good example of an open range breakout that was good for multiple points in Disney. Now for a swing trade, I'm going to wait till Disney breaks over 100. But for a day trade, throw darts at any new 2-day high gap continuation. This illustrates an example of one of my favorite patterns is a small gap. For this one, it gapped like $1 for 94 to 95. So for it, that's a small gap that continues up after 930. So this is a open range breakout on a momentum gap continuation. Now I prefer stocks down around 20 or 30 bucks a share, no more than 40, but usually 15, 20, $30 share is my favorite. But I still traded this yesterday on smaller share size, but still a good winning trade because it had a perfect setup. A small gap that continued up and started to spike up, and I hit the ask and nailed it. It ran up. Then I sold, nowhere near the top. I think I sold like 97.40 or something, but I got a piece of it at least, and that's something to celebrate. So we never get tops and bottoms, or seldom, but we do get moves. See a question about Hut and Ford. Let's see. And I don't know where Ford closed. It was as high as 25, then down into the teens, and yeah, that looks good. Yeah, Ford's a go. Yeah, Ford over 12 is good. Good call. And again, not a trade recommendation, but yeah, I'd buy the 1230, 1240, somewhere north of 12 up there. That's a good 2-day high breakout pattern. So yeah, it's good. Ford looks good. Someone's asking about HUT. Well, that looks pretty terrible. I don't like that one, but I like the Ford chart. Trader Ari had mentioned Carnival Cruise Lines yesterday too. It didn't do too much after the first spike, but it did end the day up at a new high. So Carnival Cruise Lines may be a good reopening play over 11, right? So Carnival, Disney, Ford Motor Company, and no doubt many others out there as well. You got so many good charts to work with. And as a live room member, the neat thing is I got a lot of really smart members and a lot of new people have joined in the last several weeks too. So really good turnout. And so I'm always constantly getting ideas from traders, and I'm pulling up the charts. And the neat thing is together as a team, we can hopefully achieve more. We can take a look at some of the different charts together and identify entries for you as we go through each session. But anyway, that's about all I was going to cover today. I just wanted to mention that the Bitcoin related stocks are probably a really good play. I think I like Marathon best of all, MARA. But it and Riot and Coinbase and BTBT and others, there's plenty of them out there. No shortage of Bitcoin related stocks, or ones that are sensitive to moves in Bitcoin. And the fact that it's been slammed down so hard that what I call a Bitcoin bloodbath the last several months. And now it's starting to bounce. We're starting to see some recovery potential in the Bitcoin related stocks. So I'm going heavily into these things at every single new 2-day high. So, for example, I bought a little bit, and just I think it was like 200 shares, something teeny tiny, on Friday after the bell. Now, what happens if it gaps down to 670 and starts to sell off? Well, I will stop out of all of it down and say 640. I use a 2-day low to scale out, but let's say it gaps up to 780 and starts to go up. I'll buy more over 8. So I always use the 2-day rolling high and low to either scale in or scale out. I buy at 2-day highs and I sell at 2-day lows. So I'll sell this down at 640, I'll buy it over 8. And in the meantime, I'll leave it alone, right? Now, the neat thing is, I provide coverage like this to all my live room members. Again, it's at trademastery.com/live. And in that, you'll be able to ask questions that we can pull up any chart of your choice. And I'll tell you whether or not I trade it. And if so, where would be a specific entry, where would be an initial stop loss value, where would be the exit target, where would be a re-entry point, and all the rest of it. So, yeah, lots to cover. So I want to thank y'all for being here. What was I in yesterday? I was in, I played this one. I played a lot yesterday. I should pull up my Fidelity account thing, but I traded Coinbase, Riot, Mara, BITO, BTBT, and Disney. Also, I think I traded UVXY and I traded SOXL. I nailed the bounce. Did anyone else trade SOXL yesterday? There was a surprise sudden move in the markets in the afternoon, and I happened to be in it, which was fortuitous. But SOXL is one of the ETFs that I like to trade as well. So we cover these and others in the live room. So anyway, if you're intrigued, if you think this may be of help to you, do try the live room at trademastery.com/live. I've been running it for over 20 years. Thousands of traders have been members during that time, and I hope that I can be of service to you. So I like to take a very precise, I used to be a corporate statistician for the Ford Motor Company. I'm a UCLA graduate. I'm very quantitatively oriented and very professional. And I like to have fun too, so I'm not all serious, but we like to be serious about price action entries. And I give people exact entries and exits, re-entries, how to manage stops, and answer all the questions you may need to help in your journey towards day trading. We do not like to cover small cap pop and drop like $3 stocks and video game hockey and thousands of shares. That's how people blow up their accounts. I prefer more consistent charts like this one that have a nice consistent run up, and then when it starts to pull back, we get out and then get back in if it does break out to new highs. So all with plenty of time to spare. So that's going to be me for today. I'm going to wrap up now. We're about 20 minutes past the hour. Normally I stay for the whole half hour, but I think I'm going to wrap up early today because it's been a long week. And I said my piece, right? So we cover things like ETFs like this one that move up nicely. And we also cover whatever's hot on the day, like Disney, Clovis, LI, TBLT, Carnival Cruise Lines yesterday. And then the Bitcoin stocks we're having expanded coverage on, especially during the next several weeks in case they run. So don't miss out and be sure to join my live room, and I will see you guys in our next session. So thanks for being here. Bye for now.